Good evening, North Carolina. This is Andrew from Andrew's Weather Center, coming to you around 8:30 p.m. on Thursday, January the 5th of 2017. And it would not be January in North Carolina without a complicated winter storm to forecast. These types of storms tend to be kind of trademarks of North Carolina and southeastern U.S. winters, with complicated precipitation types and very fine lines where some people can get piles of snow and some people can be rather disappointed when they wake up with 2 inches of compacted sleet outside. So we'll take a look at a few things to clarify what we can expect over the next 24 to 48 hours, and we'll look at a few things and products from the National Weather Service to get a better idea of what to expect. So this has been on our radars, no pun intended, for about a week now, but it has finally come to fruition. And if we look at this winter storm warning that was put out by the National Weather Service in Raleigh earlier this afternoon, it's been out for about 5 hours now, I guess. And it calls for all of these areas in central North Carolina, nearly, you can generally just refer to all of North Carolina because this is a very widespread storm, but the warning text down here, winter storm warning in effect from 7 p.m. Friday to 7 p.m. Saturday. So that's the main time frame we're looking at here. Anywhere from supper time tomorrow through supper time Saturday. Nightfall is pretty much going to be tomorrow when the onset of the precipitation is expected to start. And this particular warning, which I had clicked for downtown Raleigh in North Carolina, calls for snow accumulation of 3 to 5 inches with locally higher amounts of 5 to 7 inches expected. And you can almost throw numbers all over the place now. It's going to be a high impact winter storm with primarily snow south and east of Interstate I-85 and north and west of Interstate I-95. And I'll show you a map in a little bit to clarify what locations I'm talking about there, but don't get too caught up in the numbers. Just know that snow is expected, sleet's expected in some of the more southerly and easterly areas, but the winter storm warning is in effect from 7 p.m. Friday, that's January the 6th, and that goes through 7 p.m. on Saturday, which is January the 7th, and this will be a high impact winter storm for North Carolina. If we take a look at the GFS model, which is the Global Forecast System, or the American model, I'm just going to run through a few of these time frames here to show what the simulated radar may look like. And as you can see, this is 6Z on Saturday, so this is late Friday night into Saturday morning. The precipitation kind of all comes together here and forms this axis of frozen precipitation, and then right below that is this pink hue is actually where there's mixing, and a lot of sleet could kind of intrude, and a lot of areas south and east of Interstate I-85, while they see snow, there could actually be a period of sleet before that all begins. And as this goes through time, some of the heaviest snow is right on that axis of precipitation right here. So that's just one model run. Of course, like I said, the new guidance is coming out a little bit later, but I just wanted to give this update beforehand. So we'll get, this image can also be mute at this point because we're getting a new update in about 4 to 5 hours. But that's the GFS. This model has been all over the place with this storm, but it's kind of come to a consensus of models are all agreeing that the precipitation comes together like that and then keeps going. But if we look at the NAM, which is the North American Mesoscale model, it's a higher resolution, so it looks a little more detailed. And you can see the same thing. This is an hourly time frame, and the precipitation comes together, but the NAM is being rather bullish on the warm nose, which is going to cause a problem if it does verify, which the NAM tends to be rather bullish. It'll be interesting to see what the next model runs overnight do, and we have to really watch that carefully because that could really cut into snowfall totals. But what's happening is, if we go down here, I'll go back to the GFS here to show this. This low is sitting right here, and there's a warm front right here where this kink in the isobars is. And this warm front, it's not showing up on this map, but imagine a warm front right here, and all of this is warmer air compared to the cooler air over here, which is causing our snow. And the GFS has this low a little farther south than east, farther offshore is a better way to look at it. And if this is farther off, then more cold air infiltrates and causes more areas of snow up here. But in the NAM, while it doesn't have the low marker, oh, there it does, it's right here. It has it much closer to shore. See if I can toggle back and forth. It has it, I'm not good at estimating the distance here, but kind of keep that in your mind. And then if we go here, it's definitely closer to shore. And what that does is it allows this warm front right here. Let me go back a few frames. This warm front that's situated right here, it's the warm air is closer to shore, and something we call warm air advection could cause warm air to infiltrate in above that cool layer of air. And what happens is, even though all the precipitation is falling as snow, if there's a warm air aloft, that snow will actually melt and refreeze into sleet before it hits the ground. So instead of getting big white fluffy snowflakes, you're getting sleet pelting down, and that does not make any snow lover happy because no one likes to watch sleet. And that could cut into snow totals, and also that's actually worse for some of the roads, because while snow may melt on some of the treated roads, sleet can compact easier. It's not as bad as freezing rain, but it's still bad, and it could compact on some roads and make for treacherous travel. With that being said, though, no matter what you see, travel is highly advised. You are highly advised to not travel over the next 24 to 48 hours because temperatures will remain below freezing, and no matter what falls, it's still going to be treacherous. So if we look at a few products by the National Weather Service in Raleigh, this is an experimental page you can go to by weather.gov/RAH for Raleigh /winter, and or you can Google. I'll link this in the video. But these are some experimental products that you may have seen floating around virtual media, and these are based on statistical probabilities of what we can see. So the National Weather Service Raleigh's forecast, you can see their information down here. This is a graphic that says expect at least this much, and what that's is basically saying is you're pretty much getting this bottom line based on statistical data being pulled from models. So all the models are agreeing that this corridor right in here is going to get no less than 2 inches, and things like that. And then if we go to the next one, this is most likely snowfall. So that's what you're likely to have, and based on a statistical analysis of the model data that's coming in, this is kind of the mean. This is what a lot of the models are suggesting is the best case, the most likely to happen. And then if we have the potential for this much, and these numbers are crazy, this is probably a map you'd see shared a few days out to get hype up and to get people to share things, which is spreading our misinformation. But there is the potential for this much snow if that low stays farther off coast and a lot of the cold air is pulled back in and it's all snow, which it's kind of up in the air right now, no pun intended once again. But we have to watch that over the next 24 hours to see if that warm air aloft is actually going to cause some issues down in the Sampson County, Wayne County, Lenoir, Duplin County area, and Fayetteville, kind of this corridor in here. That could kind of rise up. You see this kind of gradient in the colors very quickly. That line could go up toward the triangle. That could go up, into the sand hills and cut into their totals. But going back to this, I skipped over that one. That's just another graphic they posted. But this is the most likely snowfall. And then going back to what I said earlier, kind of a thing I'm going off here is I like to use interstates for kind of sectioning off the state. I consider this part west of Interstate I-77, I consider that kind of western North Carolina. Central North Carolina I consider to be between I-77 and I-95, so this kind of wedge shape. And then eastern North Carolina I consider to be east of I-95, just for simplicity's sake. And basically for this storm, what I'm thinking is that if you are south or east of Interstate I-85, so this corridor here, if you're anywhere in here and then west of I-95, you're kind of in the bullseye, I would say. The direction or the axis is a little bit thrown off with the interstates here, but if you're anywhere in this zone, you're most likely going to see some snow. If you're anywhere near Fort Bragg and south, that's just something we have to watch about that rain-snow line if it's going to sneak up, and the precipitation will likely start as snow and then transition over to, likely start as rain and then transition over to snow. But if you live anywhere south and east of Interstate I-85, you're likely to see the highest snow totals in here, and then western North Carolina will actually get a little bit of a different scenario. I'm not focusing on that as much because I don't have as many of the viewers on my page, but as the system comes this way, that the track is kind of going to pull along this axis this way. So We'll see what happens with that. I plan on posting a lot more updates tomorrow, at least one, but I'll post one in the morning and then plan to do some live coverage or something along those lines as the storm goes on. But we are looking at a high impact winter storm that will start around nightfall tomorrow, Friday, January the 6th, and it will continue through Saturday night, January the 7th. And there's a winter storm warning in effect, and any travel is not advised, as the roads will become treacherous, as any precipitation that falls will likely be frozen. And we'll try to nail down some of this. I'll kind of take in some of the new model data and look at some other resources, and I'll post another update in the morning to kind of have a better idea of if the models are holding on to that idea of that warm air intruding above and causing some sleet issues. But this will be a high impact winter storm. At this point, the likelihood of nothing happening is this pretty much nothing. So something will happen. There will be some wintry weather. Some people will be disappointed with their snowfall totals. Some people will probably get a lot more than forecast. That's just the dynamic of the winter in this area. It's very challenging to forecast, and the slightest tick in the track can really cause havoc on some of the forecasts that are put out there. But stay tuned to more information, and stay tuned to my page. Stay tuned to the National Weather Service in Raleigh, and I'll be updating frequently. And I will post more updates tomorrow, and we will see what happens with this storm. It should be an interesting one to watch. And if you have any questions, message me on Facebook, comment on this video, and I will see you on the next update sometime tomorrow morning. Stay safe.